Hey everyone, and welcome. Today, we're diving into a huge change in how we all interact with data. For the longest time, it's been this world of complicated code and rigid rules. But what if you could just talk to your data? We're gonna get into the story of how that's finally happening. Let's jump in.
Right? We hear it constantly. Data is the new oil. But that oil is pretty useless if you can't get it out of the ground. For decades, all the amazing insights hidden away in databases were locked up, only accessible to a handful of people who spoke the secret language. The question for the rest of us has always been, how do we even start the conversation? And that secret language is SQL, Structured Query Language. If you didn't know how to write the code, you had to find a data expert and wait in line. This created a massive bottleneck, slowing everything down and keeping all that great info just out of reach for most people in business, product, you name it. So, to fix this problem, two totally different ideas came along, but they both had the same goal: get you to your data. One path is all about human language and conversation. The other, it's all about precision, structure, and total control.
You can think of it like this. It's the difference between asking a librarian to help you find a book versus going to the old card catalog and digging through it yourself. One is just about speaking your mind in plain English. The other is about clicking through a very specific visual system to build your request, piece by painstaking piece. And this image, well, it just nails that difference. Over on the left, you've got NL2SQL, which stands for Natural Language to SQL. The whole idea here is to translate our normal, everyday questions directly into database code. And on the right, you have the classic SQL GUI, the graphical user interface. This is the world of structure, a visual playground for experts to build perfect queries and run the show.
Okay, so which one's better? Is the simple power of just asking a question going to make these complex GUIs totally obsolete? Well, to figure that out, we've got to put them head to head. Let's see where each one really shines. And, where they kind of stumble. Now, this is where things get really interesting. This radar chart lays out all the trade-offs so clearly. You can see NL2SQL in that lighter blue and the classic UI in the dark blue compared across 6 different areas. And right away, you can tell they are completely different animals. So let's break this down.
So look at the very top of the chart. For learn curve or learning curve, NL2SQL gets a perfect score. Why? Because you don't need any training. You just ask a question like you'd ask a person. This is what people mean when they say we're democratizing data. On the other hand, the classic GUI, well, that requires you to actually understand how databases are built and how SQL works. It's a much steeper hill to climb, for sure.
But then let's go clockwise to precision and reliability, which means precision and reliability. And here, the GUI is the undisputed champ. It's deterministic. That just means every click you make does one specific, predictable thing every single time. NL2SQL is probabilistic. It's making an educated guess about what you meant. And while it can be amazingly accurate, like over 95%, the way we humans talk can be fuzzy, which means sometimes the AI just gets it wrong. And that brings us to flexibility. Look, for an expert who needs to write some super complex, highly optimized query, the GUI's king. There's just no contest. It gives you the full toolbox, all the power and control you need for those really tricky jobs. NL2SQL is fantastic for those quick, on-the-fly questions, but it just can't handle that level of hardcore complexity. And finally, let's talk about Sicherheit, or security. In a GUI, you are in the driver's seat. Every action is explicit. With NL2SQL, you're handing the keys over to an AI and asking it to write code for you. That opens up new risks, like something called SQL injection, which means you need some really tough guardrails and validation to make sure the AI doesn't accidentally or intentionally write something dangerous. So it really looks like a classic standoff, right? Ease of use on one side versus power and control on the other. But what if this isn't a competition at all? What if the future isn't about picking a winner, but about bringing these two worlds together?
And that right there is the whole point. The real story isn't a showdown, it's a team-up. Modern tools aren't making you choose anymore. Instead, they're building this incredible hybrid future that gives you the easy, intuitive feel of language and the rock-solid precision and safety of a structured interface.
This slide shows us exactly what that looks like in practice. This is that hybrid architecture. The user is still interacting with a familiar interface, but now they've got this AI-powered assistant built right in. See the flow? Your plain English question goes through a secure little gateway, the NL2 SQL engine figures it out, and then it generates code that gets checked and validated before it ever goes near the actual database. It really is the best of both worlds. So what does this hybrid thing actually do for you? Well, for starters, it can suggest a full query just from you asking a simple question. It can also act like an AI co-pilot, helping you optimize your code by spotting errors or suggesting ways to make it run faster. It can even build out a visual query for you based on a sentence you type. And maybe best of all, when you get your results back, the AI can take a giant, scary table of numbers and just summarize it in a clear, simple paragraph. How cool is that? Okay, so this is way more than just a neat piece of tech. It has some very real effects on how we all get our work done. So let's make this super practical and talk about what this means for different folks out there. All right, if you're a CTO or a data architect, listen up. The message is simple. An AI is only as good as the data you feed it. So your number one job is to invest in data quality and good documentation. Garbage in, garbage out, right? Then you need to build that secure hybrid backend we just looked at, making absolutely sure the AI is separate from the database and that you have strict validation rules in place. And for all you data engineers out there, your job is changing. You're going to spend a lot less time writing those same boring reports over and over, and more time building the secure systems and maintaining the perfect data catalogs that make the AI assistant so smart. This frees you up to tackle the really hard, interesting problems. Think of the AI as your new sidekick, not your replacement. And for business analysts, and basically everyone else, this is a total game changer. You can now use plain language to do quick, exploratory digging and get answers in seconds. But, and this is a big but, it is critical to keep a human in the loop. For important reports, you should always check the code the AI wrote to make sure its logic is correct and the numbers are right. Trust, but verify.
So if you take away one thing from all this, let it be this. The world of language isn't replacing the world of structure. It's merging with it, creating this powerful new intelligent layer on top. This is an evolution, and it's one that makes data easier for everyone to use without giving up the control and security that we absolutely need. This whole shift is fundamentally changing our relationship with data. It's becoming less like a complicated machine we have to operate, and more like a partner that we can collaborate with. And that leaves us with one last, really fascinating question to think about. If our data's finally learning to speak our language, what incredible new conversations are we all about to have?